Eddie, Jason, and Chris Show. 1-888-99 Idobi if you want to call in. EJC Show on Twitter. Samantha Scarlette, our paranormal correspondent, is now joining us on Skype. Hello, Samantha.
Hey, guys.
Wow, you didn't seem so excited to talk to us off the air.
Yeah, I like how you flip that switch. That was pretty good.
My radio voice. No.
So are we just not that exciting to talk to? Is that what it is?
No, you guys are super exciting. I was just like, I'm tired.
I feel like you're using us right now.
Why are you so tired? Are you still like hungover from Halloween?
No, I only went out actually the weekend before Halloween. I didn't go out on Halloween, but I've been getting up really early and working out. So yeah,
you kind of seem like a Halloween type person. I'm a little surprised you didn't go out on Halloween.
You know, everyone thinks that, but when you kind of dress gothic all year round, Halloween's not that exciting.
Yeah.
I actually went to the most ungothic Halloween party you could think of. So yeah.
Way to discriminate, Eddie.
Hey, I judge people based on appearances.
And solely appearances.
Well, you're bringing on a cool guest, and it kind of goes and ties in with the whole election going on right now.
Yeah. I wanted to do something election themed, so White House ghosts.
Well, we had Hillary Clinton on earlier.
We did have Hillary. Did you catch that?
Yes.
Did you listen?
She was
No,
on.
I didn't. I did not hear Hillary.
Wait. You didn't listen to the show before being on the show?
No, I always just come on with you guys on Skype. I have to get in my zone. I don't listen.
Oh.
Come on blindly.
Usually a rule is you have to listen to the show before being on the show. Just throwing it out there.
Well, I did not hear Hillary.
If you have time.
How do you get pumped up for your segment? Do you do push-ups?
Jumping jacks?
No.
Wind sprints?
All right. Well,
play guitar for 2 hours. No.
Oh, nice. Well, do you have anything going on with you real quick before we get to this guest that you want to plug?
Me? Right now, not really. I'm kind of just I'm working on a lot of stuff right now, so it's kind of everything's marinating. Nothing to plug at the moment.
Okay, well, follow Samantha Scarlette on Twitter, everyone. Okay, let's get our guest on the line here, because this is a very interesting topic. His name is
Belanger.
Yes, Mr. Jeff Belanger. You are, I think you should be on the line now. Hello, Jeff.
How are you?
Good, how are you? So Jeff is an author, an adventurer, and one of the most visible paranormal researchers today. And he's the author of over a dozen books on the paranormal, including Who's Haunting the White House? And that kind of goes and ties into the whole, election going on and everything. Welcome to the show. How's everything going?
It's great to be with you.
You're also...
Well, it's post-Halloween, so I'm still nursing that hangover, but it's the time of year when ghosts take center stage, and I guess I get a little extra time because of the election tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
What made you interested in researching the paranormal?
So I started as a newspaper reporter, and I grew up in old New England. Had friends who had houses that were haunted. So from a young age, I was interested. But as a newspaper reporter, you go chasing these feature stories around October, and you may find this hard to believe, but when you're in media, you go looking for timely stories. And I got hooked on just the ghosts, the history, the legends, all that stuff, and it somehow spiraled into a career that one could never plan. But I can't imagine doing anything else at this point.
That's also, by the way, Samantha is here as well. So
yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was letting them get a word in. You've been on Ghost Adventures too, haven't you?
So I'm the writer and researcher for that series. I've worked on all 13 seasons so far, 150 plus episodes, and that's been kind of my day job in addition to writing books and giving lectures and doing everything else I do. So yeah, Ghost Adventures is a huge part of my life.
Okay, well, very impressive. So regarding the White House hauntings, let's dive into that, because the election's tomorrow, and so either Hillary Clinton will be moving back into the White House or Donald Trump. So let's kind of find out what they can expect to encounter when they move, whoever moves into the White House.
Yeah, so the building itself has fascinated me for a long time because it's so many decisions have been made in that building that have literally shaped the world, and it's got such an incredible history in and of itself. One of the earliest stories I heard about the ghost of the White House pertained to this servant specter that had been seen in the East Room hanging laundry. And when I did some research, I learned that when John and Abigail Adams first moved into the White House, they were the first family to live there, second U.S. president, first family to actually live in the building.
Can we, just real quick, was this ghost hanging actual laundry? How do I get one of these ghosts?
Yeah, it was an apparition, just a kind of a specter scene. That they would hear the slosh of water, they would smell soap, and they would see just the specter of something hanging a sheet, but not actually something you can see. It's a story, it's a legend that got kicked around. And it turns out when the Adams lived there, there was no money for furniture when they first moved in the White House. There was enough money to get the building constructed, but no money for furniture. So they'd tell the servants to just hang the laundry in the East Room because why go outside and brave the elements? So that was one of the earliest stories I heard, and then it kind of tied to a moment in history.
And I'm sorry, what year was this again?
So this was the late 1790s when the Adamses moved into the White House. Because Washington laid the cornerstone, but President Washington had died before it was completed, so he never got to actually live there. Though he was there and laid the cornerstone, he didn't live inside. It was John and Abigail Adams who were the first to live there.
Right, and that's the original White House, right? Or there were two White Houses, weren't there?
It burned, but they reconstructed
it. The same White House.
Okay.
In August of 1814, it was burned to the ground, but the outer shell remained intact because that's all stonework. So. Yeah, the guts were certainly burned to the ground, and it was gutted again in 1950 when there was a major reconstruction. But the outer shell is the same one that was there all the way back to the 1790s.
Yeah, none of the floors are the same, are they, from the 1950 renovation? From what I've heard, a lot of the hauntings actually died down after that.
So, it depends who you want to believe. When I worked on this book, it was amazing. I got to go there and interview some of the staff and talk to, various employees. And it was an incredible experience because, there's about 100 employees that work for the White House. And that's the butlers, the cleaning crew, the groundskeepers, and so on. It doesn't matter which political party's in power. These folks have a job. I met a third-generation White House butler, a guy whose dad was a butler at the White House, dad's dad was a butler at the White House. These folks are pretty apolitical. They're amazing patriots and incredible historians, and they've got ghost stories. Now, Truman referenced the ghosts a ton of times in letters to his wife. To quote the president, sure as shooting, the place was haunted. He'd write about hearing footsteps walking around on the second floor, which is the living area, and then he'd go downstairs to find the Secret Service agent and say, "What are you doing up here?" And they'd say, "Oh, nothing, sir. We're at our post doing what we're supposed to be doing." So Truman thought it was haunted, but then there was that major renovation in 1950. But the stories continued. Ronald Reagan talked about his dog barking wildly outside the Lincoln bedroom. President Carter's daughter was using Ouija boards inside the Lincoln bedroom. The Clintons talked about the place being spooky. George W. Bush, when he was working on his father's re-election campaign, was alone on the second floor and had said he had seen a man walk down the hall when he knew he was the only one that was supposed to be up there. So the stories definitely continue.
Now, do we know where these apparitions or these spirits or whatever you want to call them, do we know where they come from? Are they, former presidents? Are they, people who used to work at the White House?
Yeah, so the most common sighting and the most prominent sighting is that of President Lincoln. Now Lincoln's ghost comes up again and again. And what I was going to say is, all these presidents and first family members that have had these experiences and talked about them, the thing about the first family and the presidents is they're not drug tested, psychologically screened, or background checked in any way. They can be on drugs and crazy. But those employees, those 100 employees that work for the building, they're drug tested, screened 8 ways to Sunday because of their job. And those guys are also having experiences. I believe them. Those are really credible witnesses. I had interviewed a White House chief operations foreman, and his name is Tony Savoy. He talked about coming down up to the second floor early in the morning to turn the lights on when he saw Lincoln's ghost sitting in a chair right outside of the Lincoln bedroom with his legs crossed, his hands resting on his knees. He looked right at him and then disappeared. That, to me, is a really credible witness and a credible story. We know what Lincoln looks like. We know the Lincoln bedroom was never actually his bedroom. That used to be the executive office. And this guy had a sighting, and he's just one of many that has seen Lincoln's spirit over the years.
Has any of this ever been caught on, on tape in any fashion, whether it be audio or video?
If it has, the White House has not released it, which would be no surprise to anyone, I imagine. And they haven't called me, and I'm just begging for, when we're in those last months of some president's second term, when they don't care about re-election anymore, I'm just waiting for my phone to ring and them to say, "All right, come on down, we're ready. Let's get a ghost hunter in here and check this place out." Now that I don't have a political price to pay, but so far I have not got that call. So if something was captured, I have not heard of it.
Now,
go ahead, Samantha.
Now some of the most famous stories regarding the Lincoln haunting is that Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of England during World War II, apparently saw President Lincoln when he was staying at the White House in the 40s. Also, Queen Wilhelmina of the Netherlands.
Yeah, so Winston Churchill's got a great quote. Apparently, he was staying in the Lincoln bedroom, which is a prestigious place. If you ever get invited to the White House and you get to stay in that room, that is a pretty that is a place of honor for sure. And the quote is Churchill hears a knock at the door, opens it, sees the specter of Lincoln in front of him, and he's standing there in his pajamas. And Churchill says, "Mr. President, you seem to have me at a disadvantage." And in a very Churchill-like way. The Princess Wilhelmina is also another one of those witnesses. He comes up again and again, and I thought about that. I remember hearing an interview with George H.W. Bush. That was the first Bush president. And he talked about how it was his first couple of weeks in office, and he had to send troops into harm's way and was really struggling with the decision. And then he said, I thought about what Lincoln went through. And I thought, okay, I can get through this. And Abraham Lincoln's presidency is hands down the most difficult presidency of all of them. There's not even a close second. Lincoln's son died while they're in the White House. His young son dies of a typhoid-like disease. His nation's at war with itself. The Civil War is ripping the Union apart. And of course, Lincoln ultimately, was assassinated. He paid the ultimate price for his country.
No
so I almost wonder
alerts.
if every president since has kind of needed him around, has summoned him in some way to say, like, okay, you're the benchmark. However bad my day is going, yours was worse. If I can keep you near me, I think it would give every president since some sort of strength to be like, all right, it's not as bad as Lincoln had it. I can get through this.
Mm.
Now, is it true that the room where the president eats, supposedly, I guess, since the Kennedy administration, is the room where Lincoln was autopsied and embalmed?
No, that wouldn't have happened at the White House. He died. He died actually in the house across the street from Ford Theater. He was shot in Ford Theater, taken to the house across the street, where he died a few hours later. He would not have been embalmed in the White House. I believe he was laid in state there for a little while, which is like a very formal funeral, but there definitely wouldn't have been embalming and things at the White House.
Okay. Oh, because when I was researching, that's what it came up on the internet, that he was embalmed and autopsied in a room that is now a dining area. So I was like, oh, that's crazy. That wouldn't make much sense. I wouldn't think. Just if you consider the times and the kind of facilities that would have been available in Washington D.C., the White House just would not have been the most optimal place for that. No, definitely. Now, is it true that Dolly Madison's ghost stopped the destruction of the Rose Garden?
Yeah, that's a great story that comes up again and again. So there's this fancy garden outside in the White House, and I forget which first lady escapes me that wanted it removed and wanted to do something else. But apparently, when the workers went outside with their shovels, her angry spirit was standing there wagging a finger at them. And they hightailed it out of there and refused to dig up the garden, and it remains intact to this day. And these are stories. That I can't verify them for you, but they're stories that come up again and again. And when you go to that place, any of you guys ever been to the White House?
Yeah, I haven't been inside. I've been outside.
I took a tour when I was a boy, when I was like 10.
Yeah, but it's incredible to be there. I get geeked out. These are my celebrities, like I don't get geeked out when I meet people, but when I'm in buildings like that, it's huge. When you're standing under the North Portico and you realize every single U.S. president stood where you're standing right now, you kind of feel the power in the the gravitas of this building. It's an amazing place, and the traditions and stories get told for a reason, because they have a moral. I remember going through the building, and there was a Secret Service agent in every single room, and they knew everything about everything in that room. Like, this picture was painted by so-and-so, and the frame came from Virginia in 1787. Like, they knew everything. And I said, what do you know about the ghost of the White House? And I said, well, people have reported a British redcoat specter seen out near the North Portico. And you go, well, that's got to be a security problem, I mean,
Right.
if your Secret Service is a redcoat near the North Portico, and it's one of those things where, he didn't see it, he didn't know anyone who saw it. It was just a story. But that story's moral is that, it happened before. The Brits did raid Washington. They burned the White House to the ground. I mean, at least the insides of it. And that ghost serves as a warning. Don't let your guard down. It's happened before. And there's two spots on the building. There's a little spot near a window on the north side and one on the south side that still show those burn marks from 1814. They don't paint it because they don't paint it for the specific reason as a reminder. You can still see the fire damage from when we let our guard down before. And so I think that ghost story serves the same purpose.
It's fascinating
Now,
stuff.
regarding the redcoat story, is it true that somebody that was sleeping in one of the White House bedrooms supposedly woke up to the redcoat trying to burn their bed or something like that?
Whoa, I hadn't heard that one. But there's so many that go around. I had not heard that one, so I'm not sure.
Well, we're almost out of time here. Samantha, do you have any final questions?
Well, there's so many hauntings with the White House. I guess to ask for a final question, out of all the hauntings associated with the White House that we didn't even get to touch on, which one would be your favorite? And which one do you think is like the most credible and creepy?
I think Lincoln's ghost is the most credible because it makes sense that we need him around. We do. Every president needs him around, and he's become one of the few figures that really transcend. Even he's more than iconic. He's become almost deified over the years by both parties. He's one of the few presidents that everybody can kind of agree on was pretty amazing and really changed the world, and especially our country. And I think that's one of the reasons we hold on to his spirit, and that everyone in that building holds on to his spirit. And I think people kind of secretly hope to see him as a reminder, as some comfort. Like Lincoln's got your back, and I'm hoping whoever wins tomorrow, at least summons his spirit in some way, shape, or form, because we're gonna need all the strength we can get to get through this one.
Right.
Really quick, do you know anything about the haunting regarding Anne Surratt, whose mother, Mary Surratt, was executed for conspiring to kill Lincoln? I read that she supposedly bangs on the doors and is supposedly seen every July 7th.
I haven't heard that one. I'm sorry. Yeah, God, there's so many. Thank God for the internet, huh? They get to spread all these stories.
Yeah,
but
really.
I hadn't heard that one. I hadn't.
Yeah, I just got one thing. If Donald Trump does win, I hope Ghost Lincoln goes Patrick Swayze on his ass.
Well,
We shall see. Time will tell.
yes, and on that note, Jeff
great.
Belanger, thank you very much for being on the show. You can check out his work at
Thank you so much.
jeffbelanger.com. That's Belanger. And we'll have that linked up in the show notes as well. Thanks again, Jeff. Very
All
cool
right, thank
stuff.
you, guys.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You too.
And Samantha Scarlette, our paranormal correspondent. Always fascinating stuff. You're doing a great job here bringing out some cool guests.
Thank you. So I guess I'll talk to you guys soon and have
Okay.
a good week.
You
You
too.
too.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
Bye.